one quick announcement. I'd like to thank Vara, Gandharvika, and Axon, and some of the other kids that are making cinnamon rolls with the help of Mother Lakshmi Priya this morning for the devotees' breakfast. Just want to thank the wonderful devotees that dressed the deities so nicely. Deities look so beautiful today as always. And also devotees that are cooking the Mahaprasad this morning. Let's give them a big Haribo. Haribo. And to all of you for being here and making the morning program so nice. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We will read from Canto 8, Chapter 3. And this is text 15. Namo Namaste Khilakaranaya Nishkaranaya Adbhutakaranaya Sarva Gamamam Nayamaharnavaya Namo Pavargaya Parayanaya Namo Namaste Khilakaranaya निष्कारणाय अद्भुतकारणाय सर्वागममाम्नाय महार्णवाय नमो पवर्गाय परायणाय Anyone who wants to chant? नमो नमस्ते खिलकारणाय निष्कारणाय अद्भुतकारणाय सर्वागममाम्नाय महार्णवाय नमो पवर्गाय परायणाय नमो नमस्ते खिलकारणाय निष्कारणाय अद्भुतकारणाय सर्वागममाम्नाय महार्णवाय नमो पवर्गाय परायणाय Okay. नमो नमस्ते खिलकारणाय निष्कारणाय अद्भुतकारणाय सर्वागममाम्नाय महार्णवाय नमो पवर्गाय परायणाय Anyone else? Okay. Transliteration. Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. Namaha. Again I offer my respectful obeisances. Te. Unto you. Akhila Karanaya. Unto the supreme cause of everything. Nishkaranaya. Unto you who are causeless. Adbhuta Karanaya. The wonderful cause of everything. Sarva. All. Agama Amanaya. Unto the source of the Paramatma system of all Vedic knowledge. Maha Arnavaya. The great ocean of knowledge, or the great ocean wherein all the rivers of knowledge merge. Namaha, I offer my obeisances. Apavargaya, unto you who can give deliverance or liberation. Paraayanaya, the shelter of all transcendentalists. Translation. My Lord, you are the cause of all causes, and you yourself have no cause. Therefore, you are this wonderful cause of everything. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the shelter of the Vedic knowledge contained in the Shastras, like the Pancharatras and Vedanta Sutra, which are your representations, and who are the source of the Parampara system. Because it is you who can give liberation. You are the only shelter for all transcendentalists. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Forward by device grace, AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described herein as the wonderful cause. He is wonderful in the sense that although there may be unlimited emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janmadi Asya Ataha, he always remains complete. Purnamasya Purnamadaya Purnamevaya Shishyate. In our experience in the material world, if you have a bank balance of $1 million, as we withdraw money from the bank gradually diminishes until it all becomes nil. However, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is so complete that although innumerable personalities of Godhead expand from him, he remains the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevaya Shishyate. Therefore, he is the wonderful cause. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidanandam Vigraha Anadiradir Govindam Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Even in this material world, we can understand that the sun has existed for millions of years and has given off heat and light since its creation. Yet, the sun still retains its power and never changes. What then is to be said of the supreme cause, Parama Brahma Krishna? Everything emanates from him perpetually, yet he maintains his original form, Sachidanandam Vigraha. Krishna personally says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mata Sarvam Pravartate, everything emanates from me. Everything emanates from Krishna eternally. Yet he is the same Krishna and does not change. Therefore, he is the shelter of all transcendentalists who are eager to get free from material bondage. Everyone must take shelter of Krishna. It is therefore advised, Akama sarvo kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Param Brahma, the Supreme Lord, and Param Dhama, the Supreme Repose, is Krishna. Therefore, anyone who desires anything, whether he be a karmi, a jnani, or yogi, should try to perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead very seriously, and of all his desires will be fulfilled. The Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. All the living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Even the karmi who wants everything for his enjoyment can get it from Krishna. For Krishna, supplying what he wants is not difficult at all. However, one should worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the sake of getting liberation. Vedescha sarvair aham eva vedyo. By studying the Vedic literature, one should understand Krishna. As confirmed here, Sarvagamamnaya Maharanavaya. He is the ocean and all Vedic knowledge flows toward him. Therefore, intelligent transcendentalists take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva Dharma Parityagyam Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. This is the ultimate goal. Om Ajnanati Vinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulminitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, actually, this whole pastime in Canto 8, Chapter 3 is about Gajendra Moksham. So, the real story about Gajendra Moksham, as we know, is the elephant Gajendra was living in the forests, and it so happened when he was enjoying his material life, he actually got into the pond to enjoy bathing with his family. And finally, it so happened a crocodile caught his foot. When Gajendra finally realized, after long years of fighting, in fact, the elephant is a land animal. So its comfort is actually in the land. The crocodile is a water body. Though it is amphibious, it still enjoys being in the water. So eventually, by fighting, the crocodile is gaining more and more strength and elephant is weakening. The example analogy is drawn is we as Jivatmas, we take a material body. So the thing is, it's like this. If we as our body composition, we put our hand in water, what happens after 1 hour, 2 hour, it starts swelling the skin. So as Jivatma, due to material nature, our desires by prarabdha karma, they have got accumulated over time. So we become very uncomfortable in this state. So the Jivatma takes body. The analogy is drawn is we may have a material body, but our eternal constitutional position actually is to be with Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. So no matter how much we try to enjoy everything here, eventually it causes suffering. As Krishna says, this is dukhalyam ashashvatam. So the elephant continues, keep on fighting. Gajendra, when finally he realizes that basically I cannot win this anymore, my end has come. So this is not the first prayer, but Gajendra actually starts by saying, Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yat Etacchidatmakam Purushyadi Bijaya Pareshaya Dhimabi. He says basically, I offer my respectful obeisances to Supreme Vasudeva. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts as presence. So Gajendra starts realizing his folly at that time. The story about Gajendra is, Gajendra actually was Indradumna in his past life. And he used to live in the Pandya kingdom in South India. It so happened that he had a nice hermitage. And in the hermitage, it so happened that he was living and Agastya Muni came. Obviously, he was engrossed in such deep meditation to Bhagavan that he forgot to give obeisances to Agastya Muni. So Agastya Muni ended up cursing him, because of your haughty, strength and puffed up knowledge, you will become as dull and dumb as an elephant. Of course, one can say that Agastya Muni's curse is also not something which is actually just out of his anger. In fact, it is said that if someone, ultimately Gajendra gets moksham or deliverance from cycle of birth and death. So in order to go back to Bhagavan's abode, one has to have kataksham of Bhagavan and shamam of Bhagavan. How he decides a jivatma's karma has to end for liberation or moksham, doesn't matter. We say salokya swamipyam, we go back to Bhagavan's abode of Krishna Loka. It is decided by him only. So Agastya Muni, first of all, in the context, is not an ordinary personality. He is actually a great bhakta of Lord Shiva and a sage, and is attributed in many pastimes in the Vedic Puranas. So Agastya Muni giving curse to him is not actually which is ordained by his anger. It is actually Bhagavan's desire that due to some prarabdha karma, Indradumna has to finish this life and go back to Bhagavan's abode. So the Bhagavata always knows that doesn't matter whatever may be the difficulty, actually he accepts this as his prarabdha karma. So when Kinda Indradumna got cursed by Agastya Muni, he accepted that this curse is for my well-being. So this is one aspect, as in this purport is said, that he surrenders. Surrender of Sharanagati means Pratikulpa Varjanam, accepting that which is favorable given by Bhagavan. And this is high state of self-surrender and realization of Indradumna Maharaj, that this curse by Agastya Muni is for my good, actually. Only by his goodness that I have got this fortune. So the same way, the crocodile actually is also King Huhu. He was a Gandharva, and it so happened that he was with sage Devala, and when they were bathing in the lake, out of fun, without respect, he pulled Devala Rishi's basically leg. So out of anger, the Rishi cursed him to become a crocodile. Of course, he was remorseful for his act, so he said, when Bhagavan comes at some point, he will liberate you. And so he was cursed to become a crocodile. So after long years of fighting, and when finally Gajendra surrenders, so Gajendra's surrender is actually without any expectation of return. Actually, it is called unalloyed surrender. So in the Leela, it so happens that when Gajendra is praying, so he says, finally in the last stage, he raises the lotus and he says the word Narayano Kilo Bhagavan Namaste. That is the word he uses. So out of no expectation of return, Gajendra offers the lotus to Bhagavan. In fact, all the demigods are seeing actually this. They can also come and help. But because Gajendra directly invoked Bhagavan, Bhagavan actually comes actually to protect him. And how does Bhagavan come? Bhagavan is not watching. Yes, we say Bhagavan is present in everything, everywhere. He is omnipotent. He is present everywhere. But the moment actually Gajendra calls like this, Bhagavan just jumps on Garuda and just comes. In fact, neither is Bhagavan's clothes, his vastram, everything actually is even there in proper state. His hair, matted locks, nothing. He just jumps. Garuda itself is actually perturbed because all of a sudden Garuda has to, of course, Garuda is not ordinary personality. He is a Nitya Siddha and Nitya Suri who is there always to serve Bhagavan. He himself gets a little annoyed. He's like, Arey, what is this? Bhagavan even didn't give me notice. Immediately I have to come. So immediately Bhagavan jumps actually to actually give protection. So what is aspect of surrender? Surrender of Gajendra can be described as Aham madrakshano bharo madrakshan phalatataha namam sripater evatyatmanam nikshepat buddha. It says surrender of one's atma, not surrender one's body. When Krishna says sarva dharma parityakya mamekam sharanam varja, it is not the body. It is actually surrender of one's atma. It is called Swarupa Swamarpanam. Actually, that is what is required. Because by Vedanta Sutra we know Atato Brahma Jigyasaha. So surrender is not to body. Body will decay. Gajendra knew. Why Gajendra knew? Because as Indradumna Maharaj in his past life, for the amount of penance he had done, he knew that he had only taken the body of an elephant. But by Atma he knew that he is a Jivatma. So this surrender is actually called Swarupa Samarpanam. Surrender the responsibility of a protection to the Lord. That is called Bhara Samarpanam. That is the key aspect. We say we want surrender from Bhagavan. Saying is not enough. To leave the responsibility to him. Just like Draupadi did when she raised her hand. I leave the responsibility to you, Krishna, to protect me. Right? That is this responsibility. It's like when a child surrenders to the mother, she's already surrendered. It doesn't worry whether the mother will come protect it or lift the toddler or no. That is the same way a Jivatma must leave the aspect, the responsibility of actually protection. So that's why it is said, whatever benefit arises out of existence, this also is surrendered to Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. And there is no part for us. And that is called Phala Samarpanam. So, it is Swarupa Samarpanam, which is our Atma. Then there is Bhara Samarpanam, which is for protection from him. And then the Phala Samarpanam. As Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karosi adasnasi ajhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva madarpanam actually. So, surrender means I have no other means. Karpanyam, meekness. Nasyam kincha Sriman Anukula Arvarjitaha Vishwasa Prarthana Purvam Atma Raksham Bhayam Tvavi. It says, I will only perform those duties to please you and will not transgress the codes of conduct. In fact, Bajendra's actually surrender is he feels he is not even fit to actually be protected, but he still relies on the actual surrender to Bhagavan. to come. So what does Bhagavan do? Obviously, Bhagavan comes with Garuda, and initially he looks around and he circles, just like uh, you know, Gajendra is in his final moments. He's crying with tears because in pain and suffering, he knows his end is coming. So that is only sight for him is actually the vision of Bhagavan. If you see, so if you see about it, what is more beautiful? Actually, there is a wonderful slokam which says that actually the Sri Rangesha Yaya Karosi Jagatam Srishti Pratikthyakshanam Atra Mutra Cha Bhogam Yaksha Sukham Moksham Cha Tatat Prisham Tat Swatantremapasya Kalpita Jagat Shemati Hridaya Swataha Shantaste Karuna Sakhi Vijayatam Shemaya Sarvatmanam. So the Shamam Gunam, which is the forgiveness of Bhagavan, is even more beautiful to praise than Bhagavan himself. So the best analogy we can say is, if we praise someone in any world, material world or anyone, we praise the objective of the adjective of the person. Oh, the person is so good looking, you're so kind, you're so compassionate. So this slokam actually shows the shamam of Bhagavan is even more powerful than Bhagavan himself. Actually, why? Because with the speed and the agitation which Bhagavan comes, we have seen, to rush to protect Gajendra. That is the love. The painful cry which Gajendra left out when in the jaws of the crocodile. So Bhagavan dropped, as I said, everything, helter skelter. He just jumped on Garuda and just came. Neither his clothes, his earring. When we want to go somewhere, we'll say, oh, I want to dress this, I want to look like this. No, Bhagavan didn't worry about it. It is just like the mother, if the child is crying, she'll rush immediately to do. Like we can see, even in Yashoda does it. So the same example is given, that the Lord has limitless auspicious gunams, countless and unlimited. But the Shamam Gunam is very important in one of the Gunam. Why? Because for all the prarabdha karma and arabdha karyan we do, we accumulate countless activities which are unfavorable to Bhagavan or devotional service, whether in this lifetime or countless lifetimes before. And the Jivatma is continuously straying from those things. So somehow Bhagavan wants to help us, as Paramatma is present, but still we stray. So the Shamam, in fact, as we know, Bhagavan is completely, Sri Krishna is independent. But this Shamam Gunam of Bhagavan actually even overpowers his independence. In fact, we know that as Jivatmas or anyone else, we can never be independent. Only Bhagavan is fully independent. He can sustain, live by himself or not, though he has Bhagavatas and Nityasiddhas in Goloka Vrindavana or Vaikuntha Loka. But without this Shamam, that independence will overtake. So that is a beauty, that how Lord, in spite of having, just like a father wants to correct the child, a father or mother, but there is love. So this Shamam is the love of Bhagavan. In fact, the same thing we can see when in Bhishma Stuti, which Bhishma says, that Shita Siko Hato Virashedanasam Shata Japari Pluta Atatya Atata Yino Me Prasha Bhami Shasra Madvahartam Sa Bhavatu Ne Bhagavan Gatir Mukundaha. So Bhishma says, what an anubhavam it is. Actually, we say that Lord Krishna lifted the weapon to protect Arjuna, but actually it is also to protect Bhishma Pitama, because Bhishma Pitama is not an ordinary personality. He also prayed that he wants to fight with Bhagavan, and that is his vow, and he wanted his end to come by Bhagavan. So the anubhavam of Bhishma to witness Lord jumping from the chariot, forgetting his vow, what he gave. So that is why it is said that he jumped down. When Krishna jumped down, the whole earth shook actually. His upper garment went away. he rushed towards me with the Sudarshana Chakra. His armor was punctured. I mean, actually many times, even though Lord Krishna is sitting on the chariot, Arjuna is fighting on the battlefield, but Lord Krishna would actually have sweat, would have tears, would have puncture. This is all external things Bhagavan is putting a show to make sure that nothing happens. Actually, nothing ever touches Bhagavan, anything. There is no any scratch, nothing. But just for the pleasure of seeing his Bhagavatas, he behaves like this. So that's what Bhishma says, that how actually wonderful to see Bhagavan. The same way he jumps actually. So we can see that the aspect of Gajendra is coming to an end, his life, and Bhagavan is here jumping from Vaikuntha Loka to come protect his Prapanna, which we say as Bhagavata. So we can see the beauty of Bhagavan wanting. And what happens actually, so when immediately Lord Vishnu jumps from the Garuda and he drags, actually, he touches the elephant and he pulls him by the leg. So the moment Bhagavan touches him, he actually gains moksham. He becomes Swarupya, he becomes a similar body form and he is liberated. Of course, he also slays the crocodile with his Sudarshana Chakra, which gives a similar effect. So we can see that Bhagavan's compassion is unlimited. It is for us to actually surrender. Without our surrender, Bhagavan can only do so much indirectly. But without our surrender, that's when will come. In fact, it is nicely said in the Bhagavatam in the 10th canto is Tatte anukampam sushamikshamano bhujana evatma kritam vipakam. The devotee is in great danger. He sees that danger to be great mercy of Lord. In fact, when Prahlada also was in difficulty, in spite of all the difficulty, there is no fear in Prahlada. He has only love flowing out of his heart for Bhagavan. That is called surrender. Yes, there is an aspect of concern shown when we surrender to Bhagavan. That is the aspect of nikshepam karpanyam, that helplessness which is there. But it is not considered fear. If you fear, then that's why I said, Bhagavan only comes to protect when there is you don't have fear actually. It is because Bhagavan is fearless. So we can surrender to him. So he gives that assurance that in Rama Avataram also he says that Sakardeva Prapannaya Tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarva bhutebhyo. Bhayam is that which is with fear. Abhayam sarva bhutebhyo dadami etat vratam mamaha. That if one surrenders, I will come to protect him. So many times people misunderstand that, this dangerous condition or karma we feel is because Bhagavan is giving us difficulty. No, that is incorrect. It is actually mentioned in Shastra. It is due to our own prarabdha karma and misdeeds. And that event when it happens, the one who is surrendered to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he takes it as an opportunity to pray to Bhagavan that thank you for giving this opportunity to me. And actually, when a Bhagavata lives his life in this way, then he is going back to Bhagavan's abode is guaranteed. It is without a doubt. And we can see this actually in the true example of Gajendra, who anxiously prayed to Bhagavan. He didn't complain that, I got this curse. Because of this, Bhagavan, you put me in this position. It is natural in today's world, most of us to say, I am going through this difficulty, so because of that, why are you giving me this difficulty? No. Actually, true surrender comes is acceptance of the fact. Acceptance that what we are undergoing is our own undoing. But by his surrender, we will be able to overcome that actually. And we can see how immediately, with immediate chance, that Gajendra got this actual aspect. In fact, very few places we see in the Bhagavatam there, Bhagavan has come directly actually to protect He has taken avataram, whether called Purna avataram, Amsham avataram, Shaktaves. There are different classifications which I don't want to get into, but uh, in different kinds of avatarams, rarely you see that he has come actually to protect a animal. And Gajendra is a exemplary example of such an instance, right? Of course, in many other avatarams, Bhagwan in his pastimes has encountered actually other living entities or other forms of jivatmas who have taken other bodies, like plants or animals or anything. But at the same point, this is one direct instance. The same instance can be said actually in Valmiki Ramayana, where Rama is going in the forest, and of course he meets Jatayu, right? Just to give a little aspect. So when he meets Jatayu, Jatayu is of course initially in the initial pastime itself. There, Jatayu actually explains that I am actually the descendant of Garuda in Rama Avataram. He says, Kadrunaga Sahasram tu Vijayashe Dharani Dharan Drauputro Vinitaya tu Garudo Aruna Evachaha. So actually we know that Vinita and Kadru were two wives of Kashyapa Muni, and basically Kadru gave birth to 1,000 serpents, whereas Vinita gave birth to Garuda and Aruna. So Garuda is the vehicle of Lord Vishnu, and the pastime so happens is actually initially Vinita is very eager that both of these, when she gives birth to two eggs, and basically she says, I am waiting patiently, so she breaks open one of the egg. So with that patience, Aruna comes out, her son, who is half formed. He's a bird. So Aruna, as we know, just in sharing some detail, is the charioteer of the sun. If you see the sun, it has 7 horses. So Aruna is the charioteer. And we see in Jagannath Puri temple that in all other temples you would see Garuda Stamba. Jagannath temple is one place you would see Aruna Stamba. So Aruna comes and curses the mother, saying, because of your impatience, I am informed, so you will become a slave of your sister. But then the mother asks, what is this, son? You have cursed me because of this. But she says, when my brother, if you wait patiently for another time, when my brother is born, he will actually liberate you from this curse. So anyway, Garuda's pastime can be told another time. But we can see that this is an aspect where the pastime so becomes that Jatayu comes and basically tells that I took birth from that Aruna, the charioteer of the sun, and my elder brother Sampati too, hence know me as Jatayu. So actually we see that in the Rama Avataram, after Sita is kidnapped by Ravana, so Ravana kidnaps and she's screaming, and Jatayu comes to her rescue, tries to come to her rescue, and he fights valiantly. Jatayu is very old, but because of Ravana's prowess, Jatayu is slain actually. So we can see that Rama is actually searching around, and he basically feels little morose that someone he knew as his father's friend Jatayu, that now basically has died because of trying to protect Sita. So he says, Bhavuni Rakshasam Vaso Vrishani Vasata Sukham Anena Dandakaranye Vishniranam Iham Pakshina. This bird, Rama says, which for years together lived fearlessly is Dandaka, that bird wilted to death because of me, trying to protect. So there was no reason actually for Jatayu to go and fight. But to protect Sita Devi, Jatayu gave away his life. So when actually Rama sees this, so he says, Natam patagam lokasya chitam arunopayami aham imam dadyakshi saumitre hatam raudrena rakshaha. O Saumitri, which he addresses Lakshmana because he's son of Saumitra, I will mount this lord of birds Jatayu onto the fire and cremate him. So we can see that Lord Bhagavan is actually merciful to not just human beings, to even birds, plants, animals. So in Gajendra Moksham, we can see he is actually, because after all, we in our karma, we may take a body, But as a man, woman, child, anything else, any plant, animal, bird, fish, but we are all, Bhagavan says, Aham bija pradapitaha. So similarly, we can see that Jatayu also gets the benefit of, like a son, Lord Rama being his son and Lord Rama doing cremation for Jatayu as a bird, which is actually unheard of. We can see that in, according to Vedic Shastra, all other animals and plants, people may do certain things. There is no ritual for any like that. According what we do for a, as Garuda Puran explains, the 12 and 13 day ceremonies when a person passes away. But actually, Lord Rama did this for Jatayu. So we can see that how this punya merit Lord Rama even gave to Jatayu actually. Why? Because Jatayu was surrendered. He didn't want anything. His surrender was unalloyed to protect, not Lord Rama in this case, to protect Sita Devi. So that is very significant actually. So we can see that how Bhagavan is said, Sattvavan, Satvika, Satya, Satma Dharma, Parayanaha, Abhipraya, Priyaharto, Priyakrut, Priyavardhanaha. So Bhagavan is called Sattvavan, means he who controls Sattva Gunam, and that paves for liberation. In life, we may have mixture of Rajo, Tamas, Sattvas, but we have to we say we have to rise above modes of material nature, but we cannot ignore Sattva Gunam. So he possesses courage and strength. This, and he is determined to bestow blessings on his devotees. So there, it's actually said that uh, Mahan Prabhurvai Purusha Satasya Esha Pravartakaha Sunirmananam Imam Santim Ishano Jyotirabhyayaha. So Shvetashvara Upanishad says that the Purusha alone, Bhagavan, is the giver of moksham and he is propagator of Satya. And thus, that's why we say that when there is light, there is no darkness. So similarly, by only surrender like this to Bhagavan, how Gajendra has done, without, in our state of mind, even in difficulty, yes, it is not easy because we are all bound by our karma. In a state of difficulty, it is very difficult to not get attached. But in that state of difficulty, if we can pray to Bhagavan that this difficulty or whatever instance is of my prarabdha karma, but whichever way, and not saying the solution, Pratikulpa Varjanam means either doing that which is favorable to Bhagavan or accepting the path which he shows us actually. So when he gives us that path and we take it, that is the right way, not what we believe is right. Of course, this means, of course, in practical terminology, one either will have a guru, an acharya, there may be Bhagavatas we may consult and all that stuff in the real world. Bhagavan is there as Paramatma. Uh, we are not as qualified as Gajendra that we call he will come. Not that he cannot come. We have to have that much surrender actually. Surrender without any expectation of return. When that surrender happens, even when we chant, chanting should be done as a satvika tyagam, not for expectation of purification. Initial stages it is okay. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will say, Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhavamadavagni Nirvapanam. But when a Jivatma understands, a Bhagavata understands that ultimately this chanting is for his pleasure, not for my pleasure. Even when calling Gajendras, called Bhagavan, whether the protection happens or no, he still called his name out of his pleasure, for his pleasure. When we call someone by name, we cannot call for our pleasure, it's to please the person. So when we chant Bhagavan's name, it's actually for his pleasure. That is a deeper meaning actually of surrender. So we can see that how that in this way, in this beautiful pastime, we see that how Gajendra actually was eager to see Bhagavan. In fact, in spite of in his pain, he was very, very eager. even in that pain, he says that, Narayana kilo guru bhagavan namaste. He says like that. Not with, in that pain, and so he still is smiling in his heart that I'm so happy to see. So all the suffering, everything around him, Gajendra forgot about it actually. So this is the beautiful pastime of Gajendra Moksham. And of course, we see that once this happens, Gajendra is relieved from his position, and so is King Yuhu. And this shows that how we should also think about surrender to Bhagavan. So I'll end today's class. If any folks have any questions or comments. Prabhuji, you want to give the mic to him?
Thank you for class, Prabhu. I would love to hear you explain the importance of knowing that Krishna or Bhagavan is the cause of all causes. I often contemplate if a person like that fact, being the cause of all causes, like what allows your wishes to be fulfilled or like to receive the benedictions from Krishna. So if a person doesn't know or recognize him as the cause of all cause, are they still able to like receive his blessing and his mercy?
In fact, doesn't matter in this whole world. I'll give the best example I can say is this, that think about not human beings. Think about even plants and animals. We all are breathing today. In fact, Krishna says that every material element, earth, water, fire, everything emanates from him. So everyone is still receiving mercy from Bhagavan today, whether they believe in Bhagavan or no. I mean, we go at a step by step. So in a material world, people are actually seeing that they are getting benefit from Bhagavan. Bhagavan doesn't, when the rain falls, the rain doesn't, people may store water in a dam or a house or everything, but look at in a forest. The forest is providing, the rain falls there openly. It provides water to every lion, animal. So forget about human beings. Bhagavan gives mercy to everyone. Now, for us to know Sarva Karanam Karanam, this again Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Bahunam Janmanam ante Jnanamam Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlabaha. It takes countless human births, not many births, not any kind of birth. Countless human births to realize Sarva, as you said, cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. So it is a gradual process. Can it be realized in a snap of a second? Yes, it is possible. If by Bhagavata, if someone comes in contact with the Vaishnava or a Bhagavata of Bhagavan and explains to him. But on a material sense, all of us are either directly or indirectly giving benefit from Bhagavan. Actually, so it can never, that's why I use the example of a lion in the forest. The lion eats whatever it eats. That's not our business, but it eats, it sleeps. It's got more land than most of us in our home. Right? We got some 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 square feet. It's got 20, 30, 40 acres in the jungle. Right? It gets free water, free food. It doesn't pay any taxes. I mean, most of it, okay, forget about those who live in the zoo and all that stuff, right? But many of them, the birds, they are freely flying. So why I'm giving this example is because we don't differentiate from, that's a bodily conception as a human being. Bhagavan gives. But now for us to directly answer this, in order to get that Sarva Karana Karanam, it's a good question you ask, but it's a very deeper answer. But there is Prarabdha Karma, there is Sanchita Karma. There are desires which are accumulated, those seeds which are yet to fructify, and that we may also have in this lifetime. So the only way we can dovetail this is actually chant Bhagavan's name. Only by chanting his Bhagavan name, that as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktihi. So only by that we will slowly get purified. So Bhagavan will then decide based on our surrender. Actually, if you in this canto, if you see, it is said that based on one's surrender is how Bhagavan rewards accordingly. It is not because he is being impartial. It's like Basically, the best example I can say is in a family, two children are there. One child is very mischievous and the other child not. The mother and father will feed both the children, right? But the question is, when the time is right, they may explain certain things better to the, maybe more receptive. So desire fulfilling and proposition, that's why we say in surrender, this word is called anukula sankalpasya, means giving away things which are unfavorable. One practical example is, say we are supposed to be vegetarians, right? This is the recommended way of diet. Why? From a sattva gunam and many things. Many people may eat many things. That's okay, that's their personal choice. We cannot force anyone to give up or do anything, let alone even coming to the temple. So when chanting Bhagwan's name and that purification happens, then slowly that desire will go away. And the best material example I can give is this. If you have a room and you got only a cupboard, you got only so much space to fill stuff. If you want to buy new things, what you got to do? You got to remove the old stuff. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Clean your heart first, remove those things. It's like this: if you have 20 pair of shoes in your rack and you want to buy another 2 more pair of shoes, what you got to do? You got to throw away the old 2 pairs. So desire propagation and propensity filling can only happen in the right way. Otherwise, we will still be doing the same things what we are doing today. So again, Prabhuji, to answer Sarva Karanam Karanam, realization can happen, but provided one chants Bhagavan's name. You had a question? Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So today you emphasized on the term forgiveness. So my ask for you is, for us humans, is there any parameter for forgiveness? Like the way like we forgive everyone in our daily life. So if there is any parameter for forgiveness, if yes, I want to know what's that parameter.
You are asking of forgiving other person or asking forgiveness for one's own transgressions?
Actually, I'm asking for the forgiveness for me.
One's own transgressions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, we cannot, the answer is this, we will only remember what is possible in our particular lifetime, what we have done. And that too, we cannot remember everything. If we ask someone, some people may have good memory, some people may know everything from the age of 5, 4, 3, whatever, or even 6, but not every day, everything. The thing is, and of course, there is that which is prarabdha karma, which is that which is from countless, innumerable times. So the aspect of that forgiveness comes is actually from the heart within. That's why I use the shlokam which I said is actually called Swarupa Samarpanam. That surrender which is surrendering by Atma actually. So one thing is, first is coming by, there are 3 aspects. There is thought, word and deed. So in thought itself, one should have that aspect that we need to ask forgiveness from Bhagavan. Then comes word, which means we pray. We stand in Bhagavan, deity and Bhagavan, we pray. And the third is a deed. This depends on different kinds of forgiveness or transgressions. Sometimes we may have, I'm generalizing this, sometimes we may have said something to someone. Sometimes we have done indirectly something to someone, and sometimes we have done directly. It's not like there are certain aspects of prayashittam which sometimes we will have to do. But the first or most important is from within, is thought itself to come and say, Bhagavan, I don't know what all I have done. I only ask forgiveness. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Sarva Dharma Parityagyam Mamaikam Saranam Vraja. It is the first step actually. I mean, because Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna in 28, 29 minutes, right? That's why there is so much interpretation given. But again, to reflect on stuff, introspection, what we call forgiveness, is actually to say that first, Bhagavan, I surrender at your feet. I don't know what all transgressions I have done, but at least Now let me start from here. Now that being said, we are not living in a mountain alone. We will encounter people, and directly or indirectly we will encounter things, situations. The best thing consciously we can do is to make sure that we do not transgress or whatever we call, right? Do certain things. If knowingly we do, then we should at least try make an effort. If it is to a person or something else, right? Sometimes it's not possible if we can, but that requires humility, right? Because to say sorry to someone is very difficult. Nothing wrong, it's all of us. It applies to each and every one of us, actually speaking. But that comes with humility. But to understand that, that's why they say Cheto Darpana Mahajana. Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said is chant Bhagwan's name. Because see, it's like this, examples have been given like the elephant. I mean, the elephant takes a bath, you keep on throwing mud. I mean, that's for its own health reason. But the point is, that's why we say when we chant, we don't do offenses, we don't do certain things. Why we lead a sattvic life is because if you keep on doing things and you're doing negative things, then it doesn't cancel out. You see what I'm saying? It never cancels out. So we should also stop doing. That's why it is said that's why surrender, as you said, is the aspect is anukula sankalpasya, means stopping doing things which are unfavorable. Because it's not like all of us, we live in a mountain, we sit like this. I'll sit here 24/7 without interacting people or everything. It's not possible for anyone, whether you're working or anything like that, right? So that's why I say, but the introspection first should come by surrender to Bhagavan, saying, I don't know my past, what I have done. Let me surrender here and going forward. That Bhagavan will take care. But karma is not as easy as what people think. Because there is, as we say, adhyatmika klesha, adhika bhautika klesha, adi daivika klesha. Same, there is adhyatmika karma, adi bhautika karma, means karma which is not caused by one's own body and self and thought. Karma which is caused by interaction with other people, which is impossible for people to avoid. Right? So that's why we should try to be in a positive way, try to be in sattva gunam, but at the same thing, introspect to say that, Bhagavan, going forward, protect me. Surrender also means asking for protection. And sometimes He will protect you from situations where you are not supposed to be or do certain things. Now, again, the aspect in that shloka is sometimes what happens is when you surrender like this, you will encounter stuff. And that's why in the purport or even in the shlokam, as what it is said is, that person doesn't blame. That, even after surrender I am encountering like this. The Jivatma will say, in spite of my surrender, it is my prarabdha karma and I accept this as my punishment. It is for my advancement, it is still happening. But that requires a high state of surrender. It takes time. So, the most important thing to think is, Bhagavan only wants, Krishna wants sincerity. If we pray from our heart with a sincere nature, then ultimately the result is to go back to Him will happen. How and when, again, I again explained that in today, is the aspect which I said was the Bhara Samparpanam. The responsibility of the protection is also up to Him. Not just surrender. Responsibility means let it go. So even if something happens, look at Kunti Devi, right? I mean, there are many examples of, people in Mahabharata and other pastimes. So that is aspect. But again, to answer your aspect of self-introspection, forgiveness, once we have done it, then that's it. There's nothing more to do. Yes, there are some aspects of Prayashchitam which are detailed, which cannot be explained in 5 minutes, and it all depends on time and circumstances of what people can do. You cannot generalize it by one statement. Okay. Anything else today or? Okay, we'll end today's class. There's a nice some feast or whatever they said they prepared so for the kids. So Vrindraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.